Before we begin our journey, leave the day behind. Notice the surface beneath you. Steady. And everything else can become lighter, less important. Imagine standing somewhere quiet, where the land begins to rise slowly at first, then higher, and higher still, until the ground beneath you has lifted into something vast. Peaks stretching into the sky, their tops wrapped in cloud, their slopes formed by time. These are the mountains of our world. Ancient, powerful, and always changing. And as your awareness softens, this landscape begins to reveal itself. Far beneath the ground, within the Earth's crust, the planet is not still. Great sections of land called tectonic plates are always moving, almost too slow to notice. But over millions of years, that motion builds. Sometimes these plates press into each other, and when they do, the land has nowhere to go. So it lifts, gradually, steadily, forming the beginnings of mountains. The Himalayas, home to Mount Everest, formed this way, when an enormous landmass we now call India drifted north and slowly collided with Asia. That motion continues even now. The mountains rise, just a tiny amount each year, always lifting. Some mountains form differently, rising from deep within the earth, built by molten rock reaching the surface, slowly forming volcanic peaks over time. Long before these peaks reached the sky, they lay beneath warm, ancient seas, which is why high on some mountains, fossils of sea creatures can still be found. Shells pressed into stone, thousands of meters above the sea. A quiet reminder that even the tallest mountains were once part of something far deeper and far older. And as these processes continue, they never remain the same. High above the ground, where the air is colder and the winds move more freely, the mountains begin to shift. Rain slips into cracks, and when temperatures drop, the water freezes, gradually expanding, pushing the rock apart, little by little, and fragments break away. In colder regions, great sheets of ice form, thick, heavy, and always in motion. These glaciers move almost imperceptibly, yet over many years they press, grind, and carve, cutting deep valleys, softening edges, reworking the land as they pass. Even the highest mountains are worn down. Some ancient ranges, like the Appalachians, were once as tall as the greatest peaks today, now softened, lowered, and reshaped by time. Elsewhere, strong winds carry fine grains of sand and dust, brushing against stone, again and again, steadily wearing it down. Even warmth by day and cold by night causes the outer layers to expand and contract. So while forces beneath the earth push upward, those above, wind, water, ice and temperature work against them. And over millions of years, these opposing forces exist together. As the mountainsides begin to transform, life adapts alongside them. At lower levels, where the air is warmer and water is easier to find, forests spread across the land, tall trees anchoring the soil, sheltering countless forms of life. As the land rises, conditions shift, temperatures fall, winds strengthen, and the air thins. Trees begin to fade, giving way to grasses, mosses, and low shrubs, each suited to cooler, harsher ground. Higher still, the land opens. Rock becomes dominant, and only the most resilient life remains. Small animals move carefully, conserving energy, finding shelter where they can. Closer to the peaks, the air grows thinner, each breath more deliberate. Temperatures drop well below freezing, and strong winds carry a constant chill. Survival here is limited, held only by the hardiest forms of life. At the highest elevations, snow and ice take hold, often year-round. Little remains, just ice, stone, and sky. Within a single mountain, many distinct worlds exist, layered one above another, each defined by height, temperature, and environment. And as these layers rise into the sky, they disappear into cloud. Where air currents sweep across the land, mountains influence the weather itself. As wind approaches, it is forced upward, lifting into cooler air. As it rises, heat fades, moisture gathers, and clouds begin to form. Rain falls, often heavily, feeding rivers, forests, and life below. Once that air passes the peak, it begins to descend, warming as it drops, drying as it settles. Leaving the far side much drier, sometimes forming deserts. So one side may be green, filled with trees and flowing water, while the other remains dry, quiet, and sparse. A single mountain, shaping two completely different worlds, guided by the movement of air and the presence of height. mountain ranges stretch across continents, forming long systems that pass through many countries. The Himalayas, across Nepal, India, Bhutan, and China, the highest peaks on Earth. The Andes, along South America, passing through Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. The longest range, extending for thousands of kilometers. The Rockies, through Canada and the United States. Broad, rugged, and far-spreading, source of the Colorado River. The Alps, across Central Europe, touching France, Switzerland, Italy, Austria, and Germany. Source of the Rhine, Rhone, and Danube. From these heights, rivers flow outward, carving through valleys and plains. And across these mountains, villages rest, paths thread, people gather. Snow in winter, open trails in summer. All held high above the world below. For thousands of years, mountains have guided how people live, travel, and connect. In many regions, communities have built lives high on the slopes, adapting to cold, thin air and shifting conditions. Paths weave across the land, tracing the easiest routes through steep terrain, linking valleys, villages, and distant places. Some used for centuries by traders, travelers, and explorers. Mountains also act as natural boundaries, separating countries, cultures, and languages. At times offering protection, forming barriers that are difficult to cross. Yet despite these challenges, people are drawn to them, climbing higher, exploring further, seeking new perspective. Standing on a peak, looking out across great distances, seeing the world in a new light. And when we step back, it becomes clear. These mountains rise within something expansive and endlessly connected. From a distance, mountains appear still. Yet beneath that quiet, everything is in motion. Water begins here, gathering, flowing downward, beyond the peaks. Air rises, forming clouds, influencing weather patterns. These high places act as origins for rivers, for climate, and for life below. Below the surface, forces lift and press, while above, rock breaks and is carried away. Stone becomes sediment, sediment becomes land, and land begins again. Nothing is held forever. Nothing remains unchanged. And across immense spans beyond what we can measure, the mountains exist within a greater rhythm. Not fixed, not permanent, but part of something enduring.